I feel like I've said freak out. If in this video, take a shot for every time I say freak out, and you'd probably be being knocked out by now. But what's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm starting a new series on my channel, or not new, my very first series on my channel, and I couldn't figure out a name for it for a while, so I had a little chat with my sister and we came up with a name. So welcome to episode 1 of Life Chats for No Reason. Basically, this is just going to be me rambling about a certain topic. It's kind of like like having a chat with someone over coffee. That's basically what we're doing. So grab yourself a cup of coffee and get all warm and cuddly, because the days are getting pretty cold now, and let's get right into this video. Today I'm going to be talking about anxiety. So to start off, let's just look into kind of what is anxiety. For me, there's lots of different definitions of anxiety, and everyone has their own opinion on it, which is why it's such a wide topic to talk about. So basically, the way I look at anxiety or define it is that it's basically a whole lot of fear, attachments, and feelings of being overwhelmed and worry that just build up inside of you every day, and eventually it gets to a point where it starts to affect your daily life and how you handle and manage things. And it is noted as a mental disorder. From my experience, and over the, let's say, about a year, I've always had it, but I never really addressed it. I always thought it was just me being dramatic and sensitive of stupid things, but it's actually that narrows down to having GAD and social anxiety. So that's what I've kind of narrowed my anxiety down to, those two specific things, and I'll explain in a little bit why I've come up with that. I did go to a psychologist, which I'll also get into a bit later. How I figured it out was that all through high school, I was always very sensitive about things. I still am very sensitive about things, but I always overreacted for small things. So if there was pressure of exams or a test coming up or a project, and I used to get so overwhelmed with so much to do, and I used to break out in tears and freak out and not know exactly what to do, and I used to just isolate from the world, and I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. I used to get to such a point where I would cry the whole week through, not knowing what was wrong with me, and then the next week be suddenly okay. So I think in matric it hit me that, you know what, I might have anxiety, because I used to have these panic attacks. And then varsity started, and I had a few attacks in first year varsity, being that it was a completely new environment for me and new people, and I'm not so great with like new people, because that's where the social anxiety comes in. So it's kind of, social anxiety is kind of the fear of being judged and constantly watched by other people. It's like going in public and knowing that there's eyes on you, and feeling like everyone cares about what you're doing. The truth is that nobody really cares what you're doing. They're all busy and worrying about themselves. Coming back to first year, I had quite a few attacks. This is what I used to say. I used to say, oh, just attacks, but actually it's me just being dramatic, but it wasn't. I used to freak out, start feeling really hot, have hot flushes. My heart used to beat like crazy, and I used to be sweating and shaking and don't know what the hell is wrong with me. And as it turns out, those were actually anxiety attacks or panic attacks. And my nose is so itchy today, it's like just on the outside. So yeah, they were actually just anxiety attacks or panic attacks that I was having. I think one of the biggest anxieties I ever had was when I started to drive. Driving on the freeway freaked me out. So I only had my car for about 2 days, so I'd only driven it by then twice or so, and my dad's like, okay, let's go, we're going on the freeway. And it was the worst experience ever, because I was on the freeway not knowing what to do, so much things to concentrate on. And my dad likes to teach defensive driving, especially in South Africa. People drive like idiots here, but there's so much happening, and that all just blew up, and I ended up having an attack in the car while I was driving, and I actually screamed at my dad and said, you know what, I'm gonna pull over and you're gonna drive all the way home. And yeah, I still ended up driving all the way home, and that stuck with me for about 2 years of being afraid of driving on the freeway alone. And then only this year I've become more comfortable with it. I'm more confident on the road, etc., because I've addressed that problem that was sitting with me for 2 years, and I finally got to figure it out and gain confidence to drive alone on the road, and that's how I fixed it today. So yeah, I think I just rambled on a completely different topic. Last year, June, 2 major events happened which affected me greatly. Personal events that happened, but those 2 things caused me to go to go see a psychologist. And with all the therapy that I went through because of the specific event, she eventually narrowed it down and diagnosed me with anxiety. Fast forward to beginning of this year, I had a bad week where I was having attacks and I was just crying for no reason and freaking out over the smallest things. And eventually I looked and I just thought, I can't do this, you know. So I'm gonna look into ways of fixing this and handling this anxiety. And I used to take this medication. It's an over-the-counter medication, but it basically calms you down. It's all natural, but by taking those tablets, I got to a point where I depended on those tablets a lot. So it was natural, it was okay to take, but it used to calm me down to such a point where I was like floating. I didn't even know what was happening. That's when I realized that those tablets were no more good. So I stopped taking them, obviously, and I only take them on really extreme occasions when just my current methods just won't work anymore. And I did a lot of research and I narrowed it down to doing meditation, mindfulness, and yoga. So I think from January I started my yoga journey and meditation, and for the first month it was horrible because I felt like it wasn't helping me at all. I used to have an anxiety attack while I'm doing my yoga because I couldn't get a certain pose right. I started to practice meditation and mindfulness and incorporate it into my yoga, and the biggest difference that it's actually made in my life till today is huge. I just feel so much calmer. I kind of set an intention every morning. So instead of just waking up and going at my day and going at the to-do lists and like freaking out that I have deadlines here and there, take 30 minutes out of my morning, wake up 30 minutes earlier obviously, take 30 minutes out of the morning and do yoga and my meditation. And it sounds silly now that I'm saying it, but it's true. Just those 30 minutes make the biggest difference. And I haven't had an anxiety attack since. I think I've had one, and that was when I was busy working on my projects and assignments, and my laptop just did something funny and none of my work saved, so I lost all my projects, all the websites that I created, etc. And then that was the anxiety attack that I had. But the difference that I saw is that yes, I had a panic attack, but the attack didn't last as long as it usually would, because this time I knew how to handle it. I just took a deep breath, brought myself to the realization that it's happened. There's no point freaking out over it now because you can't go back and change the past. There's no point putting yourself down. Just move on. Like, this has happened, okay? It's out of your control. You can't change it. So move on and figure out what you're going to do to fix the situation or to make it better next time. And that's kind of the thing that I live by, kind of been living by now. So January till now, which is about 5 months or so, it's I've changed a lot. I feel like I've changed a lot by just taking control of my anxiety and not letting it consume so much of me. And I'm sure you guys can understand now why I'm named this live chats for no reason, because I'm actually rambling on about this for no reason. There needs to be more awareness brought to this topic, I feel, because a lot of people look at someone who has panic attacks over small things as being dramatic and call you a drama queen or overreacting, etc., etc. And that's why people don't like to accept that, you know what, I actually have anxiety. So coming back to the tips that I have or that I've learned over this 1 year, 2 years, is if you're feeling overwhelmed, or you feel like you're about to have an attack, or things just aren't going your way and you're having a bad week, just sit down and just think about what caused it. Why are you feeling like this? And to root to the problem, and then accept your current situation, that there's nothing you can do about it. You're in the situation now. Instead of worrying about how you got into the situation, you need to put more focus on how you're going to get out of the situation. Just the main thing is to not sit down, break down, and cry over something that you can't change anymore. And I think that's the main thing about anxiety, is that feeling that you're not in control anymore. And you are in control. You just need to make yourself realize what you have control over and what you don't have control over. So that's kind of like a tip number one. But tip number two is to look into mindfulness and meditation. I used to think it was a very stupid thing to do before, but it's honestly helped so much. Just doing a little bit of research into it, and it takes a while to kind of get the technique of medication into it and figure out what your meditation would be. Tip number three is yoga. In my opinion, because I've started yoga, I don't judge it as much as I used to. And it's also something that's helped a lot. Seeing the things that my body can do that it couldn't do before, simply by 5 to 6 months of practice, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel accomplished. And that's one of the big things that motivates me, is a feeling of accomplishment. And it's good for your muscles, I must say, because the stretches feel real good. Tip number 4 is to just find yourself an inspiration. Find yourself someone or something that you can revert back to whenever you're feeling low, whenever you're falling into a rut, or you're feeling anxious. Just find something that you can go to whenever you want to, whenever you feel like you have a panic attack coming on, or you're feeling uneasy, or whatever the case is. And it can be anything. Tip number 5 is to talk it out or write it down. It's just a way of getting your thoughts out and out into the air, so that it's not all bundled up within you. So that is all the rambling I have for today, and I hope you guys enjoyed this first episode of Life Chats for No Reason. We shall see what the next episode is going to be. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed this constant rambling of mine for no reason at all. And make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. And if you're anything like me, go warm up your coffees, because it's just 4th time I'm warming up the coffee.